And I think basically that was what we did yesterday. We just talked generally around what the ETL process is all about. And today I've added like 3 more lines to what we did yesterday. Yesterday we said Power Query naturally access data source the same way. Or
Hello, can someone hear me?
yes, I can hear you, Mr. Francis.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Francis, I can hear you. Okay. I said we Power Query will access the data source the same way. Sorry, the way you natural. Oh, I said the same way you access the data source. That's natural. That's the same way Power Query will access data source. And I said that there are over 100 connectors. So there are hundreds of connectors, to data sources in Power Query. And then Power Query uses the HEM language. It's also called the matchup language. And okay, so let's just let's start by getting a data into Power Query. No, I hope we all have Power BI desktop installed on our system now. So I'll just go to, let me minimize this. Okay, and now I've stopped sharing, but I'll resume sharing in just a few minutes. I'm trying to minimize this. Okay. Okay, yes. I was trying to end the slideshow, but was hanging, so I had to. I'm opening what I'm doing. I'm opening my Power BI desk top now. So let me go back to sharing so you see what I'm doing exactly. Uh, yeah, you okay? Okay, I've shared my screen now. So Power BI desktop is opening. I'll just give it some time, a few seconds, I think. Okay, here is it. So when we are in Power BI, like I said yesterday, there is Power Query in Power BI desktop. There is or in Power BI, there is Power Query in Microsoft Excel and in some other applications as well. So today, like I said yesterday, we'll be using Power Query in Power BI application. So let me just minimize this. Okay, so to start with, this is a Power BI desktop. If you have it installed on your system, once you open the app, this is the page it will take you to. So we are trying to open a new page. So you come here and double click on it. So that is opening a new page. Yes, now we are in Power BI desktop. I'm sure quite a number of us are already familiar with this interface, you know. So now we need to get our data into Power BI desktop, because we want to use the Power Query uh, that is in Power BI desktop. So the first thing is to get our data from whatever source it is. And I hope that we were able to take a look at the video that was sent yesterday. I think Sister Debbie also resent the link, that would have talked about how to get your data from different sources. And also, she also talked about some of the tools in Power Query. So for anyone that has looked at it, should not have any problem with how to get data in or from different sources to Power Query, So for this purpose, we are only going to be getting data from the Microsoft Excel source. That's what we're doing. And how do we do that? Uh, to get your data into Power BI desktop, these tools in this data ribbon, these are the tools you use to get your data into Power BI desktop. This you have the get data here, you have the Excel. If you want to get from an Excel workbook, SQL Server, and some other sources. This recent source, maybe the one that you recently used, you could just click on this and you will get, because we've not used any source recently. So that's why we don't have any option here, on this drop down. So now we want to get our data. So for the purpose of this study, there's a data resident somewhere where I want us to use, for our work this evening. So you just click on the get data button, and I want to get an Excel workbook, an Excel data, So you click on like I said, there are so many connectors, for one, in the slides we discussed yesterday and even briefly today, we said that there are hundreds of connectors on Power BI, what's it called, desktop, or in Power BI. So these are some of the connectors. If you click on more, you will see lots more, lots more, So these are all the connectors, from Power BI to different data sources, But for this purpose, we are just going to use the connector to Microsoft Excel. So just click on it, and from there you can navigate. Oh, okay, we can navigate to wherever your file is resident. So in this case, my file is in my E drive and this folder, software Power Query. So it is the file. You can either double click on this file, or you click on it and then click on the open button as well. So that brings your file into Power Query. Now, once you do that, 99% of the time, this is what you get first. When you are bringing in your data from any source, this is the navigator window you have first. Then you have options here. Let me open the file from its source, not in, so that you will see what file I'm bringing in. Let me go to where it is. So you will see the file. Okay, I think I have it here. I just want to show you the content of the file I'm bringing in, so that you can compare it with what we have here. Okay, this is the file I'm bringing in. This is the Excel workbook with 3 worksheets in the workbook. The first one is named corporate. The first sheet is named corporate, second home office, and the third consumer. So as you can see, looking at this first one, it's just data about order. Then the home office, short data. I'm just trying to use what's it called, a data that has short rows, short information, so that we can understand the details of what we're trying to do. So there is another sheet here, the consumer sheet. If you look at this consumer sheet, you will see that the ship mode column has two empty cells here in this column. Then taking a look at this quantity column, you will see that there is a cell that has an error, and that was deliberately, done so that we understand some concepts. The home office, no, none of the cells, has an error, or neither does it have any empty value. Likewise the corporate. So these are the 3 worksheets, that I'm trying to bring into what's it called, into Power Query in Power BI. So when you want to do your transformation, so you can do whatever you like, whatever transformation you want to do to this data, you can do it in Power Query in Power BI. So going back to where we left off. So like I said, once you click on get data, this is the first window you see, the navigator window. So these are the 3 worksheets, that I showed you just a few seconds ago: the consumer, the corporate, and the home office worksheets. So if you check this box, it will give you a preview of what is here. If you check this box, it also gives you a preview of what is the corporate worksheet. If you also check this box, it will give you a preview of us is in the home office, worksheet. So here, what you do is you now check, or you check the box of whichever, this sign here, these are signs of worksheets, and this is the folder itself. So that the worksheets are inside this get data into Power Query folder, So you now tick the box of whichever worksheet you want to load, or you want to transform in Power Query. But for this purpose, I'm going to select the 3 worksheets now. So selecting the 3 worksheets will take these 3 worksheets into Power Query. And we have 2 options here: load and transform data. I won't cancel. For me, cancel is not an option here. You either load it or you transform data. And best practice is you transform data. And that's what you do first, because when you load, that means you don't want to work on data. You assume that the data is perfect. You know there's no transformation you want to do, do on the data again. You just want to load it to the platform where you want to do further analysis. But best practice, even if you feel the data is okay, there are no errors, you are not doing any wrangling, any transformation again, it's still best you click on transform data, you take a look at it one more time before you load it onto the platform where you want to use it subsequently. So you click on transform data. So clicking on that will open another, you take it to Power Query proper, where you can now do your, do your transformation. It was when we are coming from Power Query. When I say Power Query proper, where we were before, where we have the navigator window, was Power BI. We were in Power BI, but this has now taken us into Power Query in Power BI. So everything here is in Power BI. So now we have our 3 worksheets here. Now the worksheets will exist here as queries. They will exist here as queries. We have 3 queries, each query for each worksheet. So if you look here, you will see the 3 queries here representing 3 worksheets: consumer, corporate, and the home office. If we select consumer, we can see we have the the information, the data in the consumer worksheet. Select corporate, we have the data in the corporate worksheet. Select home office, we will see the data in home office. Then looking here, we'll see the apply steps. All these were discussed in the video, but I'm just trying to mention them again just to recap. The video that Sister Debbie said, these were all discussed elaborately, but I'm just trying to go over it for the benefit of people that didn't have time to take a look at the video. Now, for every transformation you do in Power Query is an applied step. Now you'll be wondering that we've not done anything in Power Query, and we have 4 steps here already, and we've not done anything. We've not done any transformation. That is how Power Query was. When you bring data into Power Query, there are some default steps that Power Query takes. There are some default transformation that Power Query does. Let's start from the first one. This is source now. That's the first transformation. Actually, don't forget that we clicked on, in Power BI, what's it called? In Power BI desktop, we click on get data. That was an action, and that's here is recorded here as an apply step. If you can see, this is the source. This now, I selected this source step. It's like taking a look at the source where the data was coming from here. The data is coming from here, and what you can see here is the worksheets, the table there. This is just information. These are just, we call it the metadata. I think that's the word. Just the information about data, shows their sheets and all. That is, so it's an apply step. Then automatically there is a step created by Power BI again, or Power Query, which is the navigation step. Don't forget that when we clicked on Get Data, it took us to a window, the navigator window. That was what happened next. And this is what we can see here. It took us to the navigator window. And in the navigator window, we saw that this is what we saw. For consumer, it shows that, don't forget that we selected the three worksheets in the navigator window. Let me go back to the navigator there. We are here again. So this is exactly this navigator window, this navigator, what we can see here is just still exactly the same thing that we can see here in this data. You can see there are for corporate, there are seven rows. For corporate, if you check the corporate or the corporate sheet here, going back to navigation, there are 7 rows. It's just the exact thing that we have in the original data. This is still the original data anyway. So it's just an exact replica. So then it's created another step again, which is promoted headers. If we check the navigation step here, we can see that the name, if you check the name of all the headers here, the heading is just column 1, column 2 to column, what's it called, to column 7. Those are not proper names. Those are not proper names. So before Power Query, for it to work, or how it works is that it gives the data set a proper heading. So then that's what it did in the next step. It gave it proper headings using the data we have here. I'm using the corporate worksheet now. These here, it recognized this as the headers. It recognized this as the headers of the data set. So that was it. He promoted the first row here to headers. And this was done, automatically by Power Query without us clicking on any button. So he promoted headers. And if we check here, if you look at each of the columns here, there is something we call the data type. Here we have, for other dates, we have data type. If you come in here, it's not decided yet which data type it is. That's why if you check it, it's saying it's any data type. At this point, it has not selected the data type for the column. So if you click on every column in this, I don't need this. I'm not. I don't. If we click on each and every column here, we see that just take a look at what we have here. It's showing any. Then again, Power Query now proceeded to assign data types, to each data type, to each and every of the column. You can see that it has sensed that the data here, in this column, they are date values. So if we check here, just look up here, it has changed it to data type date. Here, it changes from any to text. Let's check the quantity column. It has changed it from any to whole number. So it has sensed that look at this, it has changed it from any to decimal number. So there are different data types here. So all these 4 steps, that had been taken were done by Power Query without our input. Let me put it that way. So these are done, all these steps were taken by default by Power Query. So that is what we need to do, that when we bring in data from whatever source to what's it called, to Power Query, there are some transformation processes that Power Query undertakes just to make sure that it's standardized the data, because for us to be the data type has they have to be in correct form for us to be able to do analysis with the data. So that's why Power Query had already made efforts to really do that, do that for us. So then you can see that again, if we then, like uh, I said earlier that the Power Query uses a language called the M code. You know, if we look at this formula bar here, we can see, I'm not going to dwell much on M code, but it's just good to mention it. What we have here, this is the M language. Sorry, it uses the M language, not the M code. It uses the M language. That's the mashup language. That's the language that data query or Power Query uses, and they all have meaning really. Like for instance, now let's look at this. What was done? It's the way the syntax is that now I'm clicking on this navigation or step. What we have here, source, is just a reference to the step before it. Before this navigation step, we had the source step. So it will mention it, then it will describe what it did. When let's come here, you can see it's saying that it promoted headers. It promoted headers. That's what it's saying it did here. If you come to change type, here it's saying that it has changed the type. Order date, it changed order date to date, change ship mode to text, and it also made reference to the step before it, which is promoted headers. So the syntax is like it will make reference to the step before it, and also tell you whatever it did in the current transformation step. So let's do something. Let's create a step ourselves. Let me use this. Assuming I come here, and I delete. Let's look at what we've not talked really much about the tools here, but let's take a look at what, and I've selected this column. Let's take a look at a tool that can be used to remove a column, even without us having a knowledge about whatever it's done here. Remove column, should means you want to remove a column. So when you click on this remove column, that will remove, the sales column has gone. Now we can't see the sixth column here. So now that is an apply step. This is one of these steps that we have done by ourselves now, so which is removed column. So let's click on it and see what the M language says. It says that it has removed a column. And which column did it remove? It removed sales column. So it's in case we can by ourselves add more information to this. We can change this description. You can just double click on this and say, or hold on, we can, okay, trying to, okay, but better still, we can rename it and say we removed sales column, so that we can always remember what column was removed, without having to click on this step and going to look at the property, or that just by taking a look, so you can actually edit whatever is here, and we can equally just right click on this and come to properties, and we are the one that added sales here. We can remove, before it was removed columns, assume we are leaving it the way it was, and we can just put it that, oh, we removed, sales column, so whichever suits you. There's an I here shows there's an information. So just placing your cursor over here, you will see the information we typed. We removed sales column. So there are two ways you can do it. You can either come here, you rename it, or you come here, you go to properties, you leave the name the way it is and put a description. So if you've done the second step, it will retain the original name, but when you place your cursor over here, you will see the description saying we removed 6 columns. So those are the things we can just do to make our work, smoother. Then again, in now we've removed columns. Don't we I really don't have intention to remove the column. So I just did that just to demonstrate to us that we can actually rename our headers, sorry, our steps. We can actually add information to each and every of the steps. What we can do here is now we want to undo this. To undo things in Power Query, all you need to do is just to cancel this step. Once you cancel that step by clicking on that cross sign or that wrong sign, whatever it is, it restores it to the original way it was before. You can see our sales column is back. So I think one more thing I just want to mention here, that you can, like this source now, you might want to change the source. That's what this button is for. When you click on this, you want to change the source to another location. You can browse. Perhaps you want to get your data from another source now. You can browse, navigate to wherever it is and put it there. Or if you know the what's it called, the URL, just copy the link and put it here. I'm not going to dwell much on this. So it's showing false, hidden. I didn't do anything. Oh, okay. So so that is just the basic information about. That's how Power Query works. Let me just put it that way. That's just the basics. You bring in your data. There are some default steps that are taken by what's Power Query statutorily without you doing anything, just like the navigation steps, the promoting header step, the change of type step. Those are the things that are done by Power Query. Then you can also, as you do each transformation step, each transformation is a step. It's recorded as a step in Power Query. So as you do whatever transformation you do, you will see it here, listed here as an applied step, which you can remove, to revert it to the original way it was. You can edit it, you can rename it, and so on and so forth. So I think but today, this is night 7:30. I have to stop here then so that we can take it from here tomorrow. I don't know if anyone has any question from what we've discussed so far.